You're listening to Plants and Politics with Gina Bonanno-Lemos. If you're ready to hear the truth about both sides of the aisle, what's really going on in America, and how big money interests prevent change to keep you sick, broke, and desperate, then play on. Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. This is Gina. So there was a filing today in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, and it mentions that there's evidence that could be coming out. It was included, or it would be included, in that stash of documents, the ones that the judge ordered to be released last week. So if they come out, apparently they could include, or would include, quote, nude, partially nude, or otherwise sexualized images and videos. And that's, again, according to this court filing today. So when the FBI raided Epstein's mansion last year, they apparently found a whole trove of nude photos of underage girls. Ghislaine Maxwell's team asked the judge to not allow them to become public. Also, her attorneys want to be able to name the victims. So as we all know, a lot of these victims are being called Jane Doe or by other names, which I'm going to get to one in just a minute with an update on Epstein and what he was up to in the days before his death. So they're asking that basically they all be unmasked, that they all be outed in public. These are victims. These are alleged victims. And they were minors when this occurred. So we're supposed to violate them again? For what purpose? Clearly, they want to intimidate women. They don't want women coming forward. They want to silence them again. They want these women to feel ashamed and embarrassed and not come forward. So what better way to do that than let them know, hey, your name's going to be out there. All your dirty laundry is going to be out there and people are going to know who you are. And it puts a bullseye on their head, right? Because which there are, we know there's other perpetrators out there, there's other co-conspirators out there. It's just so gross. It's so gross. So I have an update on, kind of an update. It's about a woman who gave an exclusive interview to the Daily Mail. She claims that she was raped and molested by Epstein as recently as 2015 at his New York estate. The woman, who the Daily Mail refers to as Marie, and that's to protect her identity again, she apparently contacted the FBI and NYPD after she learned of his arrest in 2019. She felt safer to come forward. Marie told authorities that she was put in contact with Epstein in 2014 by another young woman who she met at a bar known only as Madison. So that was how she introduced herself. Like most of Epstein's other alleged victims, he lured her to his mansion with the promise of a modeling career. She alleges that as Epstein was showing her around his estate for the first time, she saw older men talking and drinking champagne with young women, that she questioned whether or not they were of age. Marie also claims that in her very first visit to Epstein's home, he began touching her inappropriately. And she said that when she rebuffed his advances, he, quote, assured her it was routine for young models to do, quote, favors for older men in the fashion industry. Quote, he said something in Latin along the lines of quid pro quo. I asked what it meant, and he said, you suck mine, I'll suck yours. Marie told the Daily Mail that she was obviously uncomfortable to the point that Epstein didn't press the issue any further, and she left that day without any more unwanted advances. But the girl from the bar, this Madison person, who introduced them, she apparently contacted her again and invited her to a, quote, modeling party in the summer of 2015. And that's when Epstein assaulted her. So Marie alleges that the girl from the bar plied her with drinks, got her intoxicated, and then they ushered her out to a black SUV, which then drove her to Epstein's mansion where she had gone and met with him the first time. Or I take that back. I shouldn't say the first time. She met him at a restaurant the first time. Then he invited her over to his mansion. So the first time at the mansion was not the first time they were meeting. So I should be clear about that. Once they were inside, Epstein took her into a massage room and he asked her how old she was, which she says that he had already asked her that previously. So when she told him that she had just turned 17, he replied, quote, "I thought you were 14." And she said there was an air of disappointment in his voice. Regardless, she was allegedly still underage, but I guess not as young as he wanted. So Marie said that he raped her in that room, that she scratched him and she asked him to please stop. And he, of course, ignored her. But when he was finished, he just got up and left. Here's some quotes from her that are just really heartbreaking. She said, quote, "The weird thing is that I didn't leave straight away. I went back downstairs to where the other girls were. For some reason, I kept expecting him to come and apologize. I was very young and naive, and of course he didn't. I felt broken. It was horrible, just horrible. I lost my virginity to him." You know, I think that hit me because as young girls, we don't really understand what's going on. Even though we may act older, we don't necessarily understand that this person is sick, that this person is a pedophile, that this person is violating us. Marie said that she never saw Epstein again, but the girl from the bar messaged her after the rape and invited her to one of Epstein's islands. She said that she replied to the girl's invitation with a warning about Epstein, and she told her about the rape, to which the girl never responded. And then within a few seconds of receiving Marie's message about that, she blocked her on Snapchat. So this Marie says, she doesn't have any of these messages because they were primarily through Snapchat, or I shouldn't say none. I'm just assuming because she said that she primarily messaged her and interacted and communicated with her on Snapchat, and those messages disappear shortly after we've read them or watched them. So Marie says she's now in therapy and that she suffers from PTSD, suicidal thoughts, and panic attacks. Apparently, she did try to take her own life. She sadly tried to slit her wrist. She's one of over 100 women who are seeking compensation from Epstein's massive estate. And she said, quote, "I believe he was abusing young girls right up until the day he was arrested. There are likely to be multiple young victims out there who are still in their teens, perhaps still living with their parents and too ashamed and confused to speak out. I know how it feels because I was one of them. I thought about suicide. I tried to cut my wrists. These girls need support before it's too late. They need to know it's okay to tell their stories." Then she went on to say, "Most of the victims we hear about are in their 30s and 40s. It's been incredibly hard on them, but many of them are married, they have spouses, they've pulled their lives together. But for the second wave of victims, we are still young, it's still very fresh, and we are still figuring things out. I saw other girls around my age, potentially younger. I'm sure he did some variation of what he did to me to them." So this is horrific. Clearly, this guy just throughout his entire life victimized her. I mean, that's the way it goes though, guys. I mean, especially if there are no consequences for your actions, these guys they have a problem. They're sick. They truly just need to be locked up and not let out because they have an illness. The sad thing is when you're young, you don't think about the other victims. You don't think about how many other young girls or young boys there may have been that have been assaulted. You only are thinking about what happened to you, and that's understandable. I mean, I've been there. We've all, women in general, most of us know what that's like. We know, we've been there. So it's often not until you get older and you become a parent, and then you realize, you look at your 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old child and you say, wow, that was young. I was so young. And you realize what it was. You realize it for what it is, for sexual assault. So when people say, why do these people wait? That's one of the reasons. I mean, in this case, by all accounts, Epstein re-victimized these girls by threatening them. And there's a level of shame and embarrassment that goes along with it. I don't think, so many people don't get it. They don't get the long-term damage this does. This is not about sex. This is about being assaulted. This is about fear and intimidation and having things stolen from you, having your youth stolen from you and your innocence. So anyway, guys, if I hear anything more, I will let you know. I am planning on doing a breakdown on some of the co-conspirators and some other people who've been implicated. So I will be talking to you guys soon. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.